Hey y'all, so this is a speed paint of, for this one, Critters, RWBabies, I think she calls them. But the reason this is going first is just because Critters OCs are more detailed and there's just more coloring to do and whatnot. So it makes for a longer speed paint, so which means I have room to blather and figure out how this whole thing works. Anyway, as with the speed paint itself, you'll see that I changed up the pose in the more finalized sketch. Originally I had it much like, what's it called, foreshortened, but I changed it up because I thought the Posey's braids, they become very chunky in my art style, and I thought that with them, as long as they are right where they're going in my mind, that having her arm outstretched rather than like one dot, like if you were to silhouette it out, would be much more interesting of a pose. Here I am figuring out how to make Posey's hair not look like a croissant. Hopefully that's better. Yep, here are the braids. I just used a, what's it called, custom brush to put placeholders in. I use a lot of custom brushes because it's like shopping for me. The shopping for free custom brushes is always feels nice. It's like retail therapy. You'll see that I'm like very, very detailed when it comes to my sketches. Some people are able to like just go from 0 to 100. I can't. Everything needs to be detailed in. Every like color difference, every like design, everything. Oh. Here's the move from Procreate to Clip Studio. I'm using the in-program like recording tool just because my computer cannot take any more. It has trouble rendering this video. Here I am coming and lining everything through. I use a different line art brush. It's not the default one, it's the custom one I took off like the web store. So it's kind of a crayon-y texture. I like texture when it comes to my brushes, or at least when it comes to line art. When things look too smooth, it looks a bit unnatural for my style, I think. Especially when it comes to chibi, for me. I like them to be cartoony. I think with a crayon brush, it makes it a bit more childish, which is kind of what I want. Here's again with the custom brush for braids. It looks very different from my art style, especially just comparing the amount of lines I use to Posey's actual like hair that I drew. But I think once I color in the line art, it becomes less obvious or less contrasty, basically. Here I am filling in color in like just large swaths and me struggling with the green. I don't know how Critter did it, but she made the green look good. I just kind of gave up and said, this is close enough, right? And I'm not actually line arting, or coloring the line art, I mean. It's a tip I learned from a different video where you duplicate the line art layer, keep one, your dark, not black, but like a dark blue or purple color, set that to overlay, and then color the second duplicated line art with the same colors you had before. And through magic, it auto picks a line art color. And here she is. Okay, so Diana, her pose didn't change much from the original like mini sketch I did. You'll see her aspect ratio is actually different just because she got ears. They make it hard to edit correctly, I think. But oh god, hands. The closed hands was pretty fine, but me figuring out how to hold a gun is the hardest thing in existence. It just when worst comes to worst, just find a reference. I just took pictures of my own hand and called it good. Because I don't know how to draw hands at all. I just take pictures of my hands and just staple them on and say that's good enough. Now we got the hair. Oh, I love drawing just long straight hair. Like, it's like drawing one gigantic sheet of fabric, and it's just so soothing and calm. You get to figure out where you want like the breaks in the hair to go or how they want to flow. Oh, it's so relaxing. I'm trying to figure out how her dress works and the length of her hair. Okay, the gun. I think I grabbed just like a 3D model of a gun offline and then like built it off that with Critter's original drawing of the what's it called? I think it's Peacemaker. It's a Peacemaker, I think. I don't have like any references other than the video itself pulled up. Line art again. Looks everything. I think for next time, or at least the next series, I will try to video cam my actual drawing and not just take it from the in-program speed paint. Because here it's really hard to control any speed that you're going at. But it makes it less dizzying, I think. Other speed paints, if they move around too much or flip between canvases, I think it's really hard on the eyes. Oh my god, because everything's sped up. So what normally would be going at like 1% is going like 1,000, and that makes me really dizzy. But here it's good for the first time. One of the things that you'll notice is that I like giving my characters, not my characters, but when I draw characters, different eye shapes. I'm not very unique. I have like same face syndrome to the max. But eye shape is like the only thing other than hair that I differentiate among characters. And for Diane, I gave her like very angled eyes maybe, or like just very sharp ones. Which just shows how angry she is as a character. She also has just a pissed off expression. One thing I regret about Diane in particular is just how gray her hair is. Especially after I add in the line art color, it looks very gray to me. It's supposed to just like very light gray, but it's very blue. It's very blue, very gray. It's a shame, but I'm not going back and editing like minute swaths of details. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. No, I got the boots. I know I'm like going off tangents, but I'm figuring out how this whole voiceover thing works. Do you want spear? Yeah, bunny girl done. Angry bunny girl done. And then Jade was actually the first one. So when it came to sketching order, she was she was the third one, because when I sketched everything, it was just in group order. So Posey first, then Diane, then Jade, and then Tazzy. But when I drew everything, when I colored and line arted everything, I went in a really weird order. I did all the I guess important Ruby kid, because Spring is there and I did her second. But I hopped between everyone's OCs. I think Jay was the very first one I drew. Even with the other 3 sets, Jay was just the first one that I colored and line arted in. So her coloring video is going to be longer. For extra pose, I was kind of struggling. I didn't know how to exactly pose her. She looks pretty excitable, for the short glimpse of her character we got. She seemed kind of scared, but happy, trying her best to be happy at least. And I thought maybe this pose will work out. I'm not sure. Her coat was also the hardest to render. I like flowing capes, but I didn't know how to properly render it. It kind of just balloons out to a ball shape, a bell shape, I guess, with no foreseeable wind. Maybe it's just like really stiff fabric. Cute little boots, cute little bows. She's very cute as a character, but okay. So here I am detailing ring. This is the only one where you show me like actually pick out the color palettes. I went off base for every single character's color palette. Generally I shifted them towards one spot of the color wheel or lighter, because I work in pastels a lot more, so they're not as saturated or intense as the original art, and they're also, I think, maybe I would say colorful just because the line art I have is also colored in, which tends to brighten palettes more, I think. And this is, I think, the most accurate I got to the official color palette, just because it was the first one I did, and I really didn't want to go too off base with how I did it. And then I decided to get more bold as I drew more. Hopefully that the discrepancy doesn't come through too much in any of the drawings, but oh well. You'll see there, if you rewind, I guess, how I did shoelaces. It's the same technique with the braids where it's white and black outline, white on the inside, and then opacity, transparency. It's very good for like very small things. And coming through with the little silver eye. I didn't know how to differentiate them, but then again, Ruby isn't very good at showing how silver eyes is different from like gray eyes, so whoops. And I tinted the glasses, I want to say green, just because I really like tinted glasses. I have like way too many, personally. Yeah, like a lot of correcting minor details to do, but hopefully everything comes through pretty well. One thing I will say, when you like, personal hint, when it comes to painting like something metal, just gradient it. Also make the outline of the object, the metal object, a lighter color than the actual metal itself. I think that makes, because metal is very, very funky. It's very shiny mostly, so if you make the outline lighter than the actual object, it gives off a shinier appearance. You can see that this is the first one, because then I went back after I put in the big circle behind her. I decided to go back and color everything because it was a retroactive decision, so to go back. And this is me figuring out how everything's colored. It gets really like fuzzy on what I'm actually doing at this point, just because once I color it in, it blends in. So you're like, I have no clue what part I'm actually working on right now. I think I just got done with the blades, but that's all I can say. And then colors. Oh, for the coloring of the hair, I also use like the stripes, a different hairbrush. I use a lot of custom brushes, as I said, to give that shiny look. Okay, and we have Tazzy. Oh, she was my favorite one. Interesting, I think my favorite of each set, I guess, is always the last character for some reason, so I save them for last to draw. You'll see I'm struggling with how long arms go. I'm not sure how long arms be, but I'm kind of sad about the pose I gave Tazzy. Honestly, it's not bad, I don't think. First of all, I don't know how like the physics of a mace works, so but Critter made Tazzy such an excitable pose, I think. Like, it's very dynamic, it's very fun, but because of the way I have to draw characters for my style and how my brain needs like consistency, I can't break out of the mold too much, so she becomes very stiff there isn't motion, there isn't really that much excitement to her, which is kind of sad considering she comes off as a very excitable character in Critter's art. Oh, I love her hair. Anyway, I'm filling in the details again. Can you tell me running out of things to talk about? Because I'm not very good at this. Filling out details and whatnot. Sometimes there are very few occasions where I just leave things as they are. Like, I don't mess with like actual like drawing in every like chain, for example, just because like there's no point to me. I just use a custom brush, so as long as I can follow the line, it's good enough. Some might call it cheating, but I am willing to cheat on getting things out faster. I'd rather get something done and quicker than like perfect and learn from it. Not a good method to go through life with, but for a hobby, I think it works out fine. I'm coloring everything in, like not coloring, lining everything in, and it's getting old. And because I'm running out of things to talk about. Oh, oof, look at that perspective on the heart patches. That's wrong. It definitely needs to be like moved over more, I think. But oop. Oh, her eyes are my favorite part of my favorite eyes of these set. I just really like the chunky fluffy eyelashes. They're kind of a departure from Tazzy's actual artwork, who has like very strong brows and like pointed lashes, but I think the rounder ones, at least in my art style, like can still make her pretty excitable, especially with her like very floofy hair. It's very cute. I think Tazzy's the character you can tell like, yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely like color palette's definitely different, just because the black is kind of darker and the hair isn't the right color, but oh well, it works out, I think. Especially sometimes you're allowed to break the rules, or you're allowed to go like off color. I tend to just color pick it first and then like jiggle around the little color wheel to see like maybe not. It doesn't hurt till try. And then I remembered Tazzy's little tattoo. I think I didn't draw on her other sleeve just because her arm is pointed the other way and her tattoo's not on her like biceps, but other side of them. You know, I took anatomy physiology, but I cannot tell you what part of the body that is. So thankfully only need to draw one tattoo, and I mean the other tattoo would have been easier, but I mixed up what was actually on the tattoo. I just put a bunch of clang suits on there, so it's just hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds. I don't think those are the actual things on there, but that's what I drew. And we're about done with Tazzy. Cute little bunny.